What's going on, party people? Welcome to episode 35 of the Culture 316 podcast. I am one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Nahisi.
And I'm your co host, Mo. How's everyone today?
Thank you guys so much for tuning in for another episode. Once again, you guys know the drill. If you guys are tuning in from Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or anywhere where podcasts can be streamed, be sure to give us a 5 stars, rate the show, share with your friends. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But without further ado, oh, wait, before I even get further into that, just a calm reminder for everyone WrestleMania week is next week, which means that WrestleMania Spaces night 1 and night 2 are going to be going on. It's going to be fun. I will be at I have a gig on April 1st, and I will be actually be at WrestleMania on April 2nd, which I'll give full details on when we go live for our post Mania show. But Mo is going to be holding it down with the spaces, so be sure to tune in and tap in. You already know how these spaces go. It's going to be loads of fun. So
Yeah,
be sure.
I'll be actually tagging along with my best friend. So we definitely be raising havoc. Like Jordan's presence definitely going to be missed. But we will definitely be raising havoc with me and my best friend. If you guys been in the spaces before, you know that me and him already have a banter going. So expect havoc. We're not leaving you guys hanging. We're still keeping this going.
So yeah, if y'all like chaos, which I know that I will be 100% revisiting those spaces and listening to them, so y'all better tune in and tap in with those spaces. But without further ado, we're going to get right into the show. So we're going to be starting off with some actually pretty disturbing news. It seems as if independent wrestling veteran Davey Richards has been pulled from wrestling related activities and events, according to Fightful. He has been pulled from MLW after exhibiting odd behavior. There have also been reports and rumors circulating that he has there have been multiple domestic abuse allegations against him, and thus he has been pulled from a lot of indie bookings as well as MLW stuff as well as NWA stuff. I just kind of wanted to know your impressions on this based on, us talking about, unfortunately, situations like these on the show.
I think it's a good thing that they're taking action because, wrestling, even like 10, 20, 30 years ago, and so on and so forth, they let a lot of shit slide.
Mhm.
Like domestic violence was actually more common than you think. And it happens to some of our favorite wrestlers that we kind of just sweep it underneath the rug. And I don't even want to say any names because I don't want to throw dirt on my favorite wrestlers, but it's there. Y'all know who they are. I don't have to I don't have to mention it. But there's been like allegations or things with evidence of that nature with domestic violence, wrestlers cheating, wrestlers, committing weird acts of pedophilia and stuff like that, where they just have like these god awful just track records. And people just say we'll separate the art from the wrestler. If they're a draw, keep this person going, keep it pushing. And I feel like it should be more normalized that if people are not really good people and they're committing crimes, that yeah, there should be a consequence. And I feel like they went about it properly. And um, I hope that this is something that is consistent throughout all wrestling promotions, not even just wrestling in general. I feel like just entertainment in general. Like I feel like people need to be like called out and held accountable for their bullshit. Like
Mhm.
yeah, you could just make one argument and be like, well, what he did was outside of like what he does in the ring in his business. And that may be so, but at the same time, why would you want that person representing your promotion? Like why is that someone you want to have as an employee? Explain that part to me.
Right.
What do
I
you think?
I was gonna say I 100% agree with you that they did the right thing by pulling him from wrestling activities, whether it be an independent company or MLW or NWA. Like you said, this is kind of a testament to how far the wrestling industry has gotten when it comes to issues of ethical nature, as far as pulling wrestlers from events, pulling wrestlers from, wrestling related activities, just saying like, hey, we know this person may make us money, fans may want to see him, but he still did something that is morally unacceptable and we need to take swift action. So shout outs to MLW for taking a stand and taking a stance. And I hope that this is something that we see more often across the pro wrestling industry. Obviously, I don't care how good of a wrestler you are. If you do something wrong, you should face the consequences. You know what I'm saying? And whatever happens happens, but I do feel like they made the right decision, because like you said, domestic abuse has been something that's very very rampant in wrestling. It's unacceptable. There's no place for it, and I believe that if we want to create a more ethical wrestling industry, we have to punish people for their wrongdoing, and that includes issues of domestic violence and domestic abuse. So that's really all I had to say about that. We want to know what you guys feel about it. Should Davey Richards have been pulled for in light of his domestic abuse allegations? But we're gonna move right on. So, uh, this has kind of been a very, very, very hot topic this past week. WWE management has been aware of WWE superstars experiencing unwarranted harassment in airports. Earlier this week, Rhea Ripley sent off a tweet that read the following: People need to respect that no means no. At airports, do not follow me outside. Today has put me off completely. I will not sign anything that isn't a personal photo of us anymore. Hate me. I don't care. Disagree with me. Try putting yourselves in our shoes for one bloody day. And to kind of piggyback off of this, there have been instances historically of other superstars being harassed for an autograph or picture upon landing on the side of television, or in the city of television events, premium live events. Of Sasha Banks, also known as Mercedes Monet, has talked about it. Alexa Bliss has talked about it. Mia Yim has talked about it. Not just women, but men as well. There was CM Punk kind of talked about it in his pipe bomb promo in 2011 about how people want to shove pictures in his face and sell it on eBay. But obviously there's been a history of this, and I wanted to know, how do you feel about the unwarranted harassment of WWE superstars in the airports or in places where it's not permitted?
I mean, man, I understand what it's like to be starstruck, but I just feel like you also need to treat these people like they're humans. Like, they're no different than you and I. They just have a job that puts them on a platform and they make more money than you and I. But at the end of the day, they're humans, just like me and you. Would you want someone in your fucking face? I'm sorry, I'm swearing again on
Go
YouTube.
ahead, go ahead, go
Whatever.
ahead.
It's just that, would you want someone in your face at 3 or 4 in the morning if you just came off of an airport after, like, I don't know, 9 hours or whatnot, 11 hours, whatever the case may be, and you're just in this state over here, this meeting over here, this event over here? Like, these people are restless. Like, people forget that they're still doing stuff for, like, WWE related, especially. They're still doing a whole lot, even though it's not Monday night or Friday night or a Tuesday night. Like, their schedules are, I forgot how many days out the week, 300 and something days. Like, it's like clockwork for them. They're exhausted. The last thing that they want to do is be bombarded, because, like, nowadays it sucks. It sucks because they already don't have their privacy thanks to social media. And it makes a lot of fans think that they're even closer and connected, which is one beautiful thing. But then some fans just, like, take it as like they're on our level when they're most definitely not. Like, you need to respect these people. You know what I mean? If you really care about that particular wrestler, go ahead and pay for a meet and greet or pay for one of those Zoom call things that they do where you get to meet the wrestler online and put in the investment. You know what I mean? That's how you show your love and your support. But to rush somebody, again, especially at an airport or outside of the arena and stuff like that, I feel horrible for them because people are crazy. Okay, I mean, we all saw what happened with, like, Sonya and Mandy,
Yeah.
with that strange person that located where they live and then broke into their house and put them in harm's way. We just recently discussed that. You know what I mean? And it's just like, fans are really capable of anything. I don't blame them for feeling on edge or on their toes that people are rushing them with bags. We don't know what's in the bag. It could be a weapon. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they're lucky enough that, yeah, they're seeing nothing but pictures and printouts and markers and Sharpies and stuff like that, but we don't know they don't know you. They just see people rushing them, like, or stalking them, and it's uncomfortable. Like, there's ways to go about it. I just, to me, I can't fathom moving that way. Like, bro, I work security. I mentioned this in the group chat just the other day. I work security for fucking Evolution. I had my locker room. My locker room was the same locker room as the female wrestlers. I still didn't think to myself, Like, let me go rush these people because I'm on the inside, I'm a guard or whatnot. I still didn't think that to myself. I was specifically told, don't speak unless you're spoken to. And I said, all right. They're like, if you want to actually speak to the people, show up extra early to your shift. And if you catch them, you may catch them or whatnot. Or maybe after the show, if you catch them, you catch them. But don't rush them. And I honor that. And I didn't speak to any wrestlers unless like they gave me like the clear that they wanted to hold a conversation or make eye contact or say something to me. So I just don't understand why people don't like operate that way. Like again, they're human beings. Treat them like human beings.
Mm.
And it's crazy now that we're revisiting this topic. As you just said, Sasha Banks was slandered for that. She was called stuck up. She was called a bitch. She was saying that people were saying she was too good or she thought she was bigger than what she is when she addressed basically the same mirroring issue years ago. You know, and it made her feel uncomfortable because as she put it, she's like, it's one thing if I drop my location, I tell you guys on the internet because then I'm letting you guys know this is the open door for you guys to talk to me, which is typically the arena. These people don't want to be bothered unless they're on the clock at the arena. When they're off the clock, they're just like you and I. They just want to chill. They just want to chill. Let them chill out, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's one thing when it's like that, but you know, in another sense, like I said, if they're not dropping their location, you guys are just stalking them out, waiting at airports for many hours, harassing them. And if they say no, by the way, take the no. Take the no. Be happy that they even like gave you an answer because that were me, I would just snub you. If it was 4 in the morning, like I would act like I didn't see you and move around.
Right.
That too, I would swing. I would swing if I didn't want to lose my job. If I wasn't afraid to lose my job, I probably would swing too. But I'm just saying, like you, just take that. You know what I mean? I feel like fans are too entitled nowadays, and it must suck being a modern day wrestler. It really does. You don't have no privacy. You can't go about your life, and people for some reason just think that like they because because they know where you guys are going and they know where the next show is that it's okay to just show up in these random places. Like it's unfair, and I don't blame Rhea Ripley or anyone else for how they feel in this day and age with just with fans. It's just unfortunate. Like I said, if you actually support these people, just pay, pay and show up if that's how you really feel. If you want to show that you're a supportive fan, then you would put forth the money and you wouldn't go resell them on eBay. Which, by the way, that's so disrespectful. Why are you guys doing that? Why? And also, why are y'all buying it? That's another question. Why are you guys buying something that no one signed for you? That to me is just as weird. Cut the shit.
You
You
pulled
could
off the
take it from
Jade
here,
line.
Jordan.
I was like, you pulled off the Jade line. So first thing I want to say is I feel like the reason why people didn't take Sasha Banks's or Mercedes Monet's statement seriously when she said it,
Mhm.
it's because when you talk about the pro wrestling fan base being majority white or majority non-black, it is easier to attribute a black woman's complaint to it being a behavioral problem, a personal behavior problem, than it is to admit or take responsibility,
Yeah.
because everybody can just accept it and it's easier for people to kind of digest. Oh, it's yeah, I showed up at the airport, da 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 da, and she gave me attitude, but it's because she has an attitude problem, and people are already, and because black women have been so heavily criminalized, demonized on social media and society, it's just a lot easier for people to digest the fact that maybe it's just this black woman who has this attitude problem than it is to just be like, hey, I shouldn't have been at the airport at 4 something in the morning trying to get somebody's autograph. But I do think that Rhea Ripley is talking about a specific type of wrestling fan. Because mind you, when wrestlers land and where wrestlers land is not public information. This is not this is not these are not things that are disclosed publicly or for public consumption. So that means that you're doing your due diligence to get information that you're not supposed to have access to in order to get something that you want. That's stalking. And Sasha Banks said that. That is stalking. When you are going around, like, these wrestlers have public appearances, even showing up to the arena early is reasonable because that is at least the place in which a wrestling fan is going to see an event. And usually, when fans are there early, they're not there at 2, 3 o'clock. They're like 4 or 5 things that are closer to the event. So even that is reasonable, right? But Showing up to an airport to be there for someone's flight is stalking because the information is not public information. It's meant to be kept private for a reason. And like Rhea Ripley said, these wrestlers are not entitled to sign an autograph or to take a picture when they're when they're off the clock. Because you think about it, right? If somebody reaches out to me about something regarding to photography or something regarding to video, and I'm not at my job or I'm not doing the gig for them on set or on site, that would bother me because I'm being asked to do things that are relating to my job when I'm not working. And I'd rather use my off time to just kind of relax. But once again, I think we put unrealistic realistic expectations on public figures. We put unrealistic expectations on public figures because we believe that they're supposed to be something to us that we're not willing to be to others. And ultimately, I just believe that it's super, super unfortunate. However, what I was also going to say is that I believe that WWE should invest into possibly private flights for their wrestlers because the fact that this is something that CM Punk complained about a decade plus ago, and it's probably been a problem before that, tells me that there's no way that people are going to get around this. And I feel like wrestlers should be able to fly chartered flights, but then again, I think that's gonna probably just gonna be too complicated. But there needs to be some way in which WWE can get flights for superstars so that they don't have to interact with the public because I feel like this is gonna continue to be an issue.
Do you think that it's an issue because some people have families and kids and that they may take them on the ride with them, or they have like certain responsibilities they have to like own up to, and they just rather them handle on their own time, like, all right, make sure you get to this arena by a few hours before showtime.
Like I'm just trying to like clarify the question. You're saying, do you think that like they show up to the airport because like that's the only available time that they have, or
Like, I feel like they probably had this discussion before. You can't sit here and tell me that like they have not went up to Vince and be like, why don't we just have one big ass jet to get everyone? You know what
right?
I mean? I feel like this has been a discussion, and then because certain people have families or certain obligations and stuff like that, like the vast majority, it probably wouldn't work out for, just because like they have to meet those obligations first. And
Mm-hmm.
like, it probably would suck more that you're being told that, yeah, everyone has to get on flight at this time, so you kind of have less flexibility with your own life. Like, they barely have flexibility to begin
As it
with, but
is,
I'm
yeah.
assuming that they want them to have their own freedom, so it's something they have to give up. But I do agree. I think that would make a lot. It would help out a lot if they just literally had like a few jets to fly out a handful of wrestlers at a time.
Right.
But God, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know other way you could go about that.
I mean, I feel like this is so weird. Sorry, I just saw something that was just like, what the hell? Um,
That's the internet.
yeah, it is. But I feel like that discussion may have had been had, but I feel like it may be a barrier, not just because of family, but because like everybody lives in different places, right? Like not everybody lives in one place, and then trying to configure a bunch of jets to come from a different places is probably, I feel like WWE just thinks it's more cost efficient to just put everybody on different flights and different planes and just send them out that way. Um, but I think that that's ultimately what it really boils down to is just like the cost effectiveness of everything. But there has to be a solution, and that's all I have to say about that.
Okay.
But we do want to know how y'all feel about WWE superstars being harassed in the airport. Let us know in the comments below. But we're moving on, and this is going to be funny. Okay, it was announced that Bill Goldberg's contract with WWE is expiring, and then he will soon be a free agent. Um, I wanted to know mostly because I wanted to see you go off. But I wanted to know if Goldberg, if WWE should give him a new deal, or if Goldberg should retire, or if Goldberg should take another job at another wrestling company.
As the receptionist? Like what?
Oh wow.
Doing what? What has he done in the last 10 years that he thinks that he needs to be making comebacks? Like he looks great, don't get me wrong, but that's it. When I'm done seeing him do his little entrance, that's it. That's all I need out of Goldberg.
Mm,
He has yet to put on any good matches.
mm.
He has two moves and that's it. He can't even do them correctly half the time. He concussed one of our favorite legends.
He
Did we
did.
forget that? I didn't remember Saudi. I did not forget that. I didn't forget that god awful match with Bray Wyatt and how he took the belt. There's no good investment with him.
Mm.
There's no good investment. If you have him come on, maybe just to can he even cut a promo? I don't think he ever cut a good promo. No, no. What does he do good again? Why do we like him? What?
Spear. Spear.
It's not even all that great of a spear. Like it was maybe cool, like I don't know, 20 years ago. But like we have many other wrestlers now that jack that move and do it better or do it more interestingly. I don't understand why Goldberg of all legends y'all want to keep bringing back. Like what is I want to know what he's doing behind closed doors that everyone wants to invest in him because to me there is no investment at all. Like if I bring you back to the E and you're still like not a draw and people aren't chanting your name and like the fans hate you, why would you want I don't know. If I was Goldberg myself, I wouldn't want to keep going. Like I feel like he's out of touch. He's out of the times. He doesn't. Not that I'm saying he necessarily needs to train to get better. Because what's the point? He's not really a wrestler at this point. He's kind of just like not even per diem. Like he's a legend that just shows up. I guess when he wants to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Based off of his name value. But it's just like what is the point of him? And I don't understand the hype in him. Like I'm not really frustrated. I'm perplexed. I'm confused
Mm.
as to why they keep bringing him back. Why? Do you have any idea?
So I think it's very, very. I think context is everything. I believe that the reason why Bill Goldberg was so special, right, when he first started his career, mysterious, didn't say anything, had this long undefeated streak, very, very powerful, only placed in wrestling matches that showed off his strengths. Um, and I feel like that is what made him special. Also, just the fact that Hogan was so hated as a heel back in WCW, um, made him even more of a better face. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like all of these things kind of came together and made him special, right? I also feel like he's just at the time, he was a great athlete, very agile for someone his size to move the way that he moves. And then when he came over to WWE, I think it was special. And this is like 2003, 2004. I think it was special because he had built up such a dominant reputation in WCW. The biggest question was, how would he do in WWE? At the time, The Rock was there, Triple H was there, Scott Steiner was there, Shawn Michaels was there, and you still had enough opponents to say, okay, this is what it would have been like if Goldberg was in WWE, right? But now look at everything that's happened. Rock is not a full time wrestler. Hunter is not a full time wrestler. Shawn Michaels is not a full time wrestler. Scott Steiner is not a full time wrestler. And because of that, it's like, and the only other like match that was like piquing interest was Goldberg versus Taker, and we know how that went. So I feel like now that all of that has been kind of put to rest, there's no reason for him to return to the WWE. I think his match with Brock was also pretty cool, but there's no reason for him to come back to the WWE. I feel like there's no reason for him to wrestle for another company. Um, I think it's time for him to retire. He already is in the Hall of Fame. I just think it's time. I think it's time for him to hang it up, and it's okay because he's had a good career. But I don't see him at this point in time providing the value that he used to. And I think that he may even be in that space as well, where he's just I did what I wanted to do. I think he said that he part of the reason why he wanted to come back to wrestling is because he wanted his son to see him wrestle. His son to see him wrestle. So it's like
Okay, we
Bucket
that
list.
ship that sailed, but I just feel like he's like the Lex Luger. Like he's not good. He just looks good and he has a decent like background outside of wrestling. So if you
Hmm.
put him with the right people, the right situation,
And they make it
he's
happen.
gonna look good by default.
Right.
That's why I get frustrated with him because like you put him in a ring with other wrestlers, he doesn't necessarily make other wrestlers look good. It only works when you're trying to make Bill look good
Right.
because Bill does not have that much to really offer. Like, I don't hate the man. I just think he's very much unnecessary and he's not the legend that we need right now. Like, there's so many other people you could pick from. And
Hmm.
I just feel like Bill is just not it. And that ship should have literally sailed in Saudi.
I agree.
That it should have. Like I let that slide because I understand that when it comes to Saudi shows, they want to bring in name value and
Traction.
people
Yeah.
know Bill Goldberg. I'm not about to just tell you not to do that. You know, for a show that's supposed to be like a WrestleMania equivalent for over there. I'm never gonna say no to that, but I'm just like saying moving forward, like what are you gaining out of it? So you bring Cena back right now, like you know what's gonna happen. You're gonna get great promo, great match, but you're also gonna put over a talent. This man came back, and my frustration is that we didn't really get much of anything out of him besides a lot of frustration and disappointment. I wanted to quit so many times because of Bill. I wanted to so badly.
It's just the way that you sounded. It was just all my life.
I was stressed. The whole Fiend situation stressed me out. I was mad for a week. No, actually, I was mad longer than that because they kept putting. They already buried Bray Wyatt, and he's burying himself at this point in time.
Yeah.
But he just really like ruined that character. Like he ruined a lot since he came back recently. Like shout out to him for at least wanting to like doing it like to want to do it for his son. Maybe he wanted his son to see him as the star that he was back then. But why
Right.
can't you just play your tapes? What's so hard about that? Just pop in the
On Peacock. Hop
for
on
real.
Peacock.
Thank you. Like just turn that on. Like I don't get it.
Just hop on Peacock. Bring up that WCW library, and we lock in.
YouTube. Yeah, the Fire Stick something. Yeah, it's not hard, Bill. You're
Then
making
again,
it hard.
then again, like an in-person experience is definitely different from the like a online experience. So I get it from that perspective, but I do
I
want to
don't
know
know.
what everybody else feels about this aspect. I'm turning this into a meme. I want to know what everybody else feels. Should Bill Goldberg
Not a
retire
meme.
from pro wrestling, or do you believe that he has some more left in the tank? But we are moving on. So speaking of other companies, a former WWE superstar, Nia Jax, has stated that she would be interested in possibly joining All Elite Wrestling. Would you want to see Nia Jax in AEW? Here we go.
Why are you making my job so hard today? Why are you making my
You
job?
see my
No,
face?
stop. Just start with the twiddling fingers.
You see
He
my
put me
face?
through hell yesterday talking about the Bellas. And he gonna throw Goldberg at me. And then he's not gonna give me a breather. He's gonna give me Nia motherfucking Jax. I
I'm,
hate you so much. I hate this nigga right now.
I'm a
I
mad
really do.
scientist. That's what I
I
am.
no, fuck you, and fuck her. Because Naya, baby, no, it's not it. It's not it. When she first came out, I wanted to like her so badly because I'm like, okay, she's different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? She has this gorgeous look to her. I like the eyes, the theme song talking about how she's literally, the fucking black sheep. She's not like most girls. And no, you're not. You're not even like most female wrestlers because you suck at your job. Like she sucks in general. She can't. She's good on the mic. I'll give her that. She's funny sometimes. Even when she botches, she's funny sometimes. But like I've never seen someone have so much privilege, because she comes from a Samoan dynasty and you just don't want to do nothing with it. Like she's reckless. We didn't forget about what she put Kyrie through. Kyrie quit. I don't care what anyone says. Kyrie
Poor
quit because she
Kyrie.
was tired of them goddamn buckle bombs. Okay, you can't tell me there was any other reason why Kyrie quit besides her being tired of dealing with Nia Jax. She's terrible. She's terrible. She's reckless. She doesn't get any better in the ring. She doesn't know how to generate any hype. She doesn't offer any evolution to her character or any evolution to the women's division.
Mm.
She's painfully ignorant and stupid. I hate reading about her political views. They stress me out every single time. Like, um, she peaked with that whole feud with Alexa Bliss, and that was because of the obvious, because she
Mm-hmm.
served the purpose of being the token big woman in the division.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I can't respect somebody that don't respect being a wrestler or being their position. If you're gonna come in here and be privileged, you're here because of your privilege. Take that and like work with it and run with it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, show us why you deserve to be here. Don't just say I should be here just because. Again, I'm Samoan and I'm different. And I create representation for other females out there. No, like inspire them by being so good that like you can't be unheard. You can't turn your face away from the camera. She's just a snore fest with everything that she does. The only time though that I would like to credit Nia Jax. Y'all know how I feel about Charlotte. And the one time I became the biggest Nia
Yo.
Jax fan for 24 hours was when she three-piece Charlotte. I- that was her peak. Actually, that I lied. That was her peak. That was her peak for me.
That woman
I
gave her a
became
3-piece right to
she
the jaw.
for real.
Bing, bing,
She
bing.
got one smack and she went bye bye bye. Like, bruh, I was the biggest Nia Jax fan for 24 hours after that. But then she lost me because she keeps talking about vaccinations and shit like that. I can't do that. Like I said, does anyone need Nia Jax? No, she's not hireable. She's not. She would create no buzz at all whatsoever, whether she went to AEW, whether she went to the indie circus, whether she went to Impact. She is not she doesn't do anything for anybody. And it's a shame too. It really is a shame because I would want her to be good because off of her look alone, there's a lot you could do with that. There's so much that you can do with that, but she just comes off to me as just lazy.
Right.
Like, why are you here? Why are you here? You know, like you barely want this for yourself. You're just bored because didn't she complain and say that she wouldn't go back to WWE? Didn't she like go in about how the reason why she left was because um it was something in regards to her mental health and that they essentially played her
Yeah.
because she asked for an extended break and they just added her name to the releases and that was it. And she said she wouldn't
I
forgive
think so.
them and she
Yeah.
shaded them. She did all that and it's just like you said she wanted to return to wrestling or to WWE. Let me just before I keep going.
She wanted to just now. Well, she said she would be interested in joining AEW.
This AEW. I could have swore she literally said she just wouldn't come back to wrestling like just a year ago. But then again, people could change their minds. They could change their minds. But it's just what would you offer to AEW? Because that's a division where over there, while it still needs a facelift, one thing about over there is that they rely more off of what do you bring to the ring. Like that's why we love Jamie Hayter.
Right.
It's not really so much off of her promos. We're fascinated by the way she moves in that ring. You know, um, again, like what would she offer if she's willing to step up her game? Did you have an idea?
I have an idea, but I'm gonna let you finish first.
My thing is like, what would you offer over there? Because we haven't seen. I can't name one good Nia Jax match in my entire life. I can't. And I wish I could. I really wish I could because I did try to like her for a while.
Uh-huh.
But what would you offer to a division over there outside of just your look? Like her look would make sense if she knew how to wrestle,
Mm-hmm.
but like what else would she bring and what role would she be in? Because I don't want to see her be a champion. I don't. But I actually want to hear this theory because you be trying to like convert me, even though it don't work half the time.
I don't think it's gonna convert you at all, at all. And but here's what I will say: I I agree with everything that you're saying.
You
The
should.
only way that Nia Jax joining AEW would intrigue me is if she joined the Outcast, because that would make sense. As an enforcer, she could join that little Outcast group. That whole we used to be in WWE and now we're the outsiders of AEW. Da 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 da. She could be a little enforcer for that, and that would make sense. Um, Obviously she has history with Saraya, better known as Paige, so you have that going for you. But as far as outside of that, do I see Nia Jax joining AEW or like would I be interested? Not necessarily. But then again, I don't know what she's been up to from a wrestling standpoint. I don't know if she's been training. I don't know if she's been like in the lab. So I don't know how she's going to be as a wrestler. But the only thing that would like make sense, that would pique my interest, that would be like, okay, let's see where this goes, is if she joined the Outcast, because that's the only kind of storyline where she can kind of be dropped in, and it makes sense. She's from WWE. She's been heavily slandered for being reckless. She's not a wrestler's wrestler when it comes to women's wrestling. Um, and she's been ridiculed by the internet wrestling community because of her recklessness, right? And that's something that she can play into by joining the Outcast. Outside of that, though, I'm not necessarily like the biggest. I was never really the biggest Nia Jax fan. I agree with you that her story with Alexa Bliss from a storyline standpoint was probably her peak in WWE. And it kind of just felt like, you know, she was just kind of like okay with where she was and just kind of rode her wave, and that was pretty much it. But that's really all I have to say about Nia Jax. I never, you know, never really saw like, I don't want to say an it factor, but it she never really popped off the screen with the exception of that story. So that's how I
I
feel
don't know
about it.
why, but you adding her to the Outsiders, my brain just thought about the Gross Sisters.
Yo, that's mad funny.
Fucked
That's mad funny because I
up.
know which gross sister she would be. She would be the damn biggest one. We're not doing
I'm
this.
going out.
We're not doing this. Because as soon as you said gross sisters, I knew which one you associated
I thought
her
about
with.
the episode. I thought about the episode where they tried making her pretty so she could like get a date.
That's so bad. So
It's
bad.
fucked
That's so bad. Oh my god.
And she's not even ugly. Like Nia Jax is not ugly. It's
Nia
just
Jax is
that
a beautiful woman. Nia
she's
Jax is a
actually
beautiful woman.
gorgeous.
She's a
She's
gorgeous
a
woman.
former model. It's just that for some reason my brain just thought
You
gross.
just got to throw sister. Oh my god. We're moving on. We want to know how y'all feel about Nia Jax, AEW. You don't already know the rest, but we're moving on. So, now onto a more pleasant note. Speaking of former WWE women's superstars, the current and reigning IWGP World Women's Champion Mercedes Moné had a lot to say at a recent appearance at the Kansas City Comic Con. She talked about how she would be interested in possibly retiring Mickie James, and she even dropped a little subtle hint that she would be interested in appearing at Forbidden Door 2. So, two questions. Do you believe that Mercedes Moné should retire Mickie James? That's one. And two, if Mercedes Moné appears at Forbidden Door 2, who should she face? Should it be Jamie Hayter, the AEW World Women's Champion, or Jade Cargill, the AEW TBS Champion?
Those are excellent questions. All right, let's start with the first one. Uh, should she retire Mickie James? There's no other female in this position that I think is more worthy than Sasha, because Sasha like is the biggest name in women's wrestling, like period. Like she's on her level. Sasha Banks has a Hall of Fame worthy career, and she's 30, 31 years old. Like she's young.
Yeah.
She's very young. And like again, she's at the height of her career where the level of hype for Sasha Banks, even though the fucking internet marks keep saying that her hype died out, go to hell, by the way. I feel like she's on that level of Trish at her peak, Mickie at her peak, Lita at her peak. And I feel like you need to ride off of this high. And I feel like that's such an amazing way to just add on to the Mercedes Moné character, in my personal opinion, because yeah, she swapped names and she jumped promotions, but she don't really have bad blood with WWE. She has bad blood with one individual in WWE. You know what I'm saying? She
Right.
still respects WWE as a whole, and she loves her roots and she loves everything that is given her. So I feel like it's very fitting for Mickie James to retire with someone that she already has worked with, that she already heavily admires, who Sasha already admires. Like, it's very much mutual on both ends. And I feel like it would just make sense to solidify a legend that is Sasha Banks by retiring the legend that is Mickey James.
Mm.
I feel like Sasha is almost like a modern day Trish to us wrestling fans. Like,
Mm.
everywhere she goes, it's hype. It's hype, you know? I feel like you get that same feeling when you got Mickey versus Trish
Mm-hmm.
out of that, or like Trish versus Lita, if you give the fans that. And it's going to be so fun because it's like, we wanted this in WWE. We want a real feud one on one with them in WWE. But now we're getting them translated into different characters. You know, we have the hardcore country, um, Mickey
Mickey James.
James,
Yeah.
essentially. And then we have Mercedes Monet. So I think it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be epic, and it's fitting. Because yeah, I've been questioning to myself too, who else is worthy of taking Mickey out the game?
Mm.
You can't be mad hanging your hat on that. I sure as hell wouldn't be.
That's a fact.
So that's how I feel about that. And then to answer your second question, would I prefer Jade or Jamie Hayter? If I'm going for the match where I feel like you could create more interesting promos and hype based off the characters, I would say Jade easily. And also the impact too. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there was a certain type of energy that was just going across the room and in the air when we got Sasha versus
Bianca.
Bianca, because of how historic that was and just how tear jerking it was for us, us black wrestling fans. And I feel like that could be another moment that could be created for AEW, putting those two together.
Mm.
Because I feel like why the reason why a lot of people like Jade, even though Jade didn't like come into wrestling because of Sasha or whatever, I feel like they see little glimpses of her
Mm-hmm.
in Sasha with like just the way she carries herself, and I feel like that would just make really like good for TV purposes, because Jade came up because she already had like a padded resume. She has a master's degree, she's a mom, she played basketball and all that stuff, model, like she does it all, and she just kind of came right in and just dominated. So she already has her story lined up, whereas you had the opposite Sasha, who literally had to just like crawl through the gutters and work her way up.
Right.
And now her name is bigger than all these companies combined. At least that's the way I fucking feel like. To me, there's so much that you could put in there and so much ego that could be thrown into the storyline that really could make it like sassy, make it funny, make you like want to choose a side here. Whereas with Jamie and Mercedes, I feel like you would get an excellent wrestling match. You probably would get the better wrestling match if you're going for just that. It's just that with Jamie, I don't feel like there's as much depth with her character. I feel like we like her unanimously because she's one of the best wrestlers out of her entire division. She's been a very decent champion so far. We love her look and the way she expresses herself. I just think the build to get there is just not going to be as interesting. You're going to be hyped because the name's there,
Mm-hmm.
but you're just not. But you're going to wait till the match. So it depends on like what's really your cup of tea. Are you there for the entertainment factor? Because me personally, I kind of would be there for the entertainment factor, and I feel like I could see a lot of personality being shown in the ring more so if I was watching Jade and Sasha. I could definitely see some shit talking in between and some funny ass lines that can be memed through them wrestling. I don't think you're going to get that with Jamie and Sasha or Jamie Mercedes. So my pick, just because I want to see like a show, I kind of want to go with Jade. I feel like that would help both their resumes so that, it would pad up Jade's, whether she wins or loses. And Sasha, you can't really like lose with this, in my personal opinion. Jamie, she could get that match. It'll pad her resume. Do I think it's going to elevate Jamie? I don't really know. So I'm going to go with Jade. What do you think? Both
So,
questions.
as far as the first question, I think that you're right. Mercedes Monet should be the person that retires Mickey James. I think
Yep.
that there is no greater woman on the independent wrestling scene that is qualified enough to retire Mickey James, but Mercedes Moné.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame career, current reigning IWGP World Women's Champion. You can make the argument that I feel like Mercedes is going to go on a very Kenny Omega esque run as far as her matches outside of WWE is concerned, as far as like the quality of matches, the type of matches that she's going for, the fact that I feel like she's going to be a belt collector as well. Um, so I think that's one thing. The second thing is that I feel like when it comes to Mercedes and at the Forbidden Door too, I think that it should be Jamie Hayter that she faces because of the style of wrestling that Mercedes Moné is engaged in outside of WWE. I feel like she's been obviously with the match that she had with Kyrie. It's very strong style. It's very hard hitting. It's very powerful. And I think that that style of wrestling is going to, bid well against someone like a Jamie Hayter versus someone like a Jade. However, I do believe that Mercedes should cross paths with both Jade and Jamie Hayter. I think that her and Jamie Hayter should be a Forbidden Door 2 match, and I believe that her and Jade should main event Dynamite because I feel like both matches just need to happen at some point because I just feel like Jade and Sasha have very, very special energy. But as far as Forbidden Door, I think it just makes sense that you put the world women's champion of one company against the world women's champion of another company. That's just my
When you say
opinion.
book one for Dynamite, wait, when you say book for Dynamite and for Forbidden Door, you're not talking about the same time period, right?
No, not the same time period. Because
Okay.
I feel like, I mean, I don't know if what the result would be of Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes would be, but I just don't want Mercedes losing two in a row. I feel like that's not the
Yeah,
way to
that's what
book.
I mentioned.
Yeah, but I feel like
Okay.
eventually it has to happen.
I
But
mean, that'd be good storytelling if
it
down
would
the
be
line Jay did become world champion and Sasha did have the privilege to meet up with her again. Like, I
right.
think that'd build more hype. Jade is still working on herself in the ring. If Jade was more sharp in the ring, I would easily say Jade, but I respect your reasoning entirely because if you're trying to go off of logic, then yes, the world champion should be versing the world champion.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, but I want to know what everybody else's opinions are regarding Mercedes Monet and her potential Forbidden Door 2 appearance, as well as if she should retire Mickey James. But we're moving on. So, according to Wrestle Votes, it appears as if Triple H has some things up his sleeve because apparently has some surprises planned for the Raw after WrestleMania. So I want to know, what do you think the surprises are? Raw after Mania, Night after Mania. Who do you think is going to show up to Raw after Mania? What do you think Triple H has in store?
The Rock couldn't make it to WrestleMania because he had his obligations.
Mm-hmm.
Did he say anything about ever showing up to SummerSlam or having?
He never heard anything regarding that.
I mean, that would be. I mean, it's not really that big of a surprise, but it would be a surprise just because everyone expected him to be there for WrestleMania, but now we know
Yeah,
he's not going to be there. I mean, I could see The Rock coming in just for the sake of continuing. That was an interesting noise.
I was about to say that was
Um,
a very, that was a very odd noise.
word of the day, y'all.
Odd.
I think there's a movie in the background. I apologize, y'all. Anyway, let me get back on let me get back on brand here. All right. So I could see it being The Rock just because we did not get him at the most obvious and form-fitting event. And I
Mm,
could see that continuing the feud um with the bloodline.
mm-hmm.
So that'd be cool. Shoot. As far as surprises go, I'm trying to think of people that would come back because I don't know what Triple H would actually do.
Mm.
I don't know. Let me come back to here. Let me hear what you gotta say. See if I get inspired.
I think we're gonna see the debut of Jay White of Raw after Mania. I think that it would be if and to be honest, I don't know what the timeline is of FTR um and their contracts expiring, but if they had a non-compete clause, then obviously they couldn't do it. But if they could work something out, I could also see the return of FTR. I also see the beginning of the Jay and Roman build to SummerSlam happening. Um, I just feel like with Hunter wants to bring back the essence of the magic of the Raw after WrestleMania. So I think we're gonna see a good mix of debuts, returns, heel and face turns, and just some wow moments. But I think that the biggest thing of the night is going to be the debut of Jay White because there were talks of him signing with WWE or talks of him joining WWE or talks of him speaking with a representative of the WWE, and then they kind of died down. And
Right.
I feel like maybe an agreement has been reached and they're just trying to keep things low, but God knows. I mean, it probably just like there's a possibility of that happening, there's also a possibility of that not happening. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I just think that all signs, at least in my mind, are pointing to a Jay White debut on the Raw after Mania.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I could also see some NXT call up happening
Mm.
just to spice up the division because that
Ooh.
would make sense.
Who do you think would be called up from NXT? This is a good one.
Um, I feel like Braun Breaker needs to just like leave already. I've been waiting for him to just like leave. Because I feel like he would fit way better up in the main roster.
Mm.
Um, I feel like Nikita, I could definitely see them pushing her just because it's going to be easy for the fans to end up liking her.
Mm-hmm.
I wish Sol Roca wasn't like. I wish they would just expedite her. 'Cause I feel like
She's
she
a
already
star.
just gives
Yeah.
me she just oozes like baby face vibes. I want to say Roxanne, but then I don't know how Triple H would use Roxanne for some weird reason. But I could see Roxanne like moving up. That'd be interesting. Because she already was in the Rumble, so they already sprinkled her in for a reason.
Right.
'Cause I feel like I feel like the women's division does need a facelift, and they do need more people to play with. So I see more females. Why is his name slipping? Why is his name slipping me right now? The asshole heel that took me a long time to like. The one
Grayson
that
Waller.
had the yes, I would love him. And I, for some reason, would love to see him and Jay White around each other. I don't know why.
Ooh. That would be
Just
tough.
because they're both assholes. They're both assholes and they're so good at it.
Right.
If I know Jay White doesn't need anyone or he doesn't need a stable, but they would be funny as hell. In my personal opinion, I think they would be funny as hell next to each other. But I don't know who would you place them with if they were going up against someone. Jay White does need to debut individually, and he does need to eventually come across someone like a Cody Rhodes and stuff like
I was
that.
just about to say Cody versus that would be my first. That would be my first feud. Jay White versus Cody.
Yeah. Yeah, that would work.
That
But
would.
does Jay White like come in with like you know how like back in Japan he had like help, with his matches? Do you
Yeah.
think that they would pair anyone with him in particular for his help since he always played a chicken shit heel?
Um.
Like a manager of any sort or maybe like a lackey?
I don't know. To be honest, preferably a bigger guy. But I don't know any off of the top of my head. But we'll
Please not
see.
another Omos.
Huh?
Said please not another
I,
Omos.
I,
I
I,
could
I,
do
seriously, I feel like Omos is just his own individual talent, but I don't know. But that's a good that's a good question to ask. We're gonna keep. I'm gonna book the bar map. We're gonna revisit that the next show. But we want to know how y'all feel
Mhm.
about the Raw after Mania. What surprises do you think are coming? Let us know in the comments below. So that concludes our show for the week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, tapping in with us for episode 35. We'll be back next week for episode 36. It's gonna be a whole lot of WrestleMania talk. So I hope that y'all are ready. I hope that y'all bring y'all predictions and things of that nature. But thank you guys so much for listening and tapping in with us. And we'll see you guys next week.